I was born in Port Elizabeth in a family of 4 siblings, raised by a single mother who was super passionate about craft and art. My mother was a knitwear designer back in the 80s. And the picture in the middle is a picture of her. She was super passionate about fashion design as well. And on the far left is a client who's proudly wearing my mother's product. I shall be unraveling my story as we go along. In our home, we used to practice a lot of craft methods, from crochet to hand knitting to machine knitting. I was often the slowest, but I paid attention to detail. We didn't have a TV at home. Our mother never bought one on purpose because she wanted us to learn about craft. She wanted us to read more books. She wanted us to be very well aware. In fact, we couldn't even afford a television set. Our mother was a single mother that went beyond her means to make sure that we get the best of everything. She used to fetch us at school every day. When I started high school, I had to beg her to stop fetching me at school because it started to be embarrassing. And she used to kiss me as well. She would go from school to school with a taxi on a daily basis and sometimes bring us lunch as well. Our mother was super passionate about craft that she went beyond teaching us how certain techniques work. Take for beadwork lessons, for instance. She would teach us beadwork. Of course, we felt like a production team because we were obliged to do the beadwork. She would come up with the ideas, we would bead them, and even come up with fresh ideas as well. Some of my siblings would be lazy and run off and go to play on the street. I was one of them. One of the lessons that she made sure that she teaches us was course anthropology, because she wanted us to get the idea behind what we were making. She collected course anthropology books that she read to us as bedtime stories. That was fascinating because we never learned about that at our primary school curriculum. She dissected each and every part of the book to make sure that we reflect that into the beadwork that we create. These are the type of images that we became familiar with at a young age. We started even knowing the names of certain pieces. I used to manufacture a collar, which used to take about 3 days. Loved it. My elder sister was a fashion enthusiast. In high school, she created a collection for a friend and created a showcase. I often used to be her model, a guinea pig. I enjoyed it because it gave us fun activities. One of the things that our mother taught us was that we must be confident at all times and discard what people think of us. Let me tell you a short story. There was a day when my mother and I returned from school. We went to the magistrate court to collect maintenance funds that were deducted for my father. We used to watch TV from our neighbors and friends. Our mother wasn't happy with that. And so she decided to buy a television set. We were all excited at home, waiting for a television set to come through. We got to the Salvation Army and skimmed through a few products. And then our mother came across a small piece of machine. I looked at it as well and asked her, "What is this?" She said, "It's a knitting machine and it does wonders." She used to be a knitter back in the 80s, but due to marriage commitments, she had to leave that off and sold the machine. She was super excited. I didn't know why. And so when I got home, I helped her assemble the machine and learned how it works. It was technical, I loved it. And I started making a lot of products and forming a lot of ideas. And then my mother gave me a lot of projects to knit. I became a knitter. But I made a deal with my siblings. I said to them, they should never tell anyone outside of our home that I'm a knitter, especially women. Because I felt like I didn't want to feel like a black sheep amongst my community. Fast forward into high school, my 4 siblings and I, we are a year apart. I'm the second eldest of 4. We struggled when we went into high school because we went to high school without a parent, without a mother. I was age 15, we were teenagers. We were left in a home with no parents and raised ourselves. We were raised by a very powerful woman because for 10 years we lived in a home where we were able to do all the things that she taught us while she was still alive. It was as if she left a curriculum for everything. I joined high school. I loved art. When I was in grade 8, I chose art subjects, history of art, textile design, and music. Odd combination. When I jumped into a textile design course, I felt this was my destiny. These are some of the prints that I created for my high school year. Growing and living in Port Elizabeth, one of the things that I discovered when I left matric, I discovered that Port Elizabeth is the trade hub and the biggest trade hub of mohair and wool. But unfortunately, majority of those commodities get exported to other countries, such as Japan, France. Amongst my family members, we had about 8 family members that lost jobs in the textile sector. Because the textile sector was deteriorating in South Africa, a lot of Chinese imports were coming through, and we, of course, could pick that up as a textile student. I wanted a career in that field, but I couldn't look at any case studies to follow. The Eastern Cape is a home, a place that I call home in Port Elizabeth. The Eastern Cape is known as one of the poorest provinces in the country and has the highest youth unemployment rate. Growing up in a closer community, I used to absorb a lot of things that were happening around my community. One of the things that fascinated me is Xhosa initiates. As you know, as Xhosa initiates, when we are age 18 to 25, we have to go through malehood circumcision. When I looked at the ritual, I felt like I wanted to be a Xhosa initiate one day as well. I haven't reached that stage yet. I loved I loved the form of confidence and the dress code that these dudes had. I loved the whole process of living in a forest for 4 weeks and the type of zest that they have. And when they come back from the forest, they boast their pain, their 4 weeks of pain of enduring circumcision without any medical aid. But the thing that was odd that I noticed was the dress code as a textile designer and as a fashion enthusiast. When I was in university, I had to come up with a thesis project with all the factors that I mentioned about my passion. I wanted something that talks to my sense of discovering what I wanted to fulfill. The title of my thesis was, How Could Traditional Xhosa Aesthetic Be Interpreted into Contemporary Knitwear for Xhosa Initiates? I felt like I wanted to fix what I felt was broken. Because as Xhosa people, we have beautiful aesthetic and should celebrate it. When I did research about traditional Xhosa beadwork, which is one of the Xhosa people's boldest aesthetic, I felt like this is who we are, and this is a form of aesthetic that we need to take out of cupboards in museums that are locked up and not being seen every day by young youth that are trying to rediscover themselves. I did a lot of color coding matches to make sure that I interpret the aesthetic as precise as possible and capture the tradition. I did a couple of digital versions just to see how far I can take the concept. And when I conceptualized and put the whole concept together, I got invited to do a final round at a competition in London. Amongst 7 continental representatives, I won the first award. I won the grand final award, where they gave me £1,000. And these are the pieces that I created. Fast forward after university, I had to think where my career path was going. I did not stall. I knew I had a vision. I knew that I was destined for something. I started a brand in April 2011, which I decided to call Maxhosa. Who would call a brand Maxhosa? In a country that has a history of tribalism, did that mean that I'm going to confine my market to Xhosa people? Did that mean that my concept will only be confined to Xhosa initiates? I had to think of ways to form up a collection that has a commercial appeal, where the product speaks for itself and with deep context. I created a variety of designs to explore how far I could take my concept. I got invited to do my first show in London in 2012. Super overwhelming experience. I felt like I put my foot in the door already in the fashion industry. I had to think about my second collection. I named my second collection My Heritage, My Inheritance, because I felt like after my mother's passing when I was 16 years old, the skill that she gave me was the most valuable gift that I felt like I should use to express myself and contribute something to the world. 2014, I did my first show in South Africa, in Johannesburg, and launched the women's line, and did several shows after. Before I started the concept of Manxhosa, I had no idea that it would go far off as being spreaded in a lot of media publications. I had no idea that local stars from different parts of South Africa will rave over it and feel proud in it. I had no idea that international mega stars would purchase our product proudly and feel like they're one of us. I had no idea that my 3 siblings would join my team. For the past 3 years, we've been working as a family and crafting and building a business. I never even imagined that I would one day go back to my supplier after 4 years and offer a purchase of their production facility. I had no idea that I would have control over a certain portion of my value chain and create jobs to 26 people that come from different parts of South Africa, from the Venda to Basotho to AmaZulu. I had no idea that I'd put smile and create proud of an Ochi in Cape Town, of a black British light in London, of a Zulu dude in Durban. I went against all the odds that some of my mentors had when they decided against naming a brand Manxhosa. I felt like I needed to acknowledge the women that created the beadwork patterns. When I look at the beadwork, I saw genius products that can be translated into various other products and be exported to other parts of the world and sold locally as luxury products. I never imagined that a normal person on the street would be able to recognize my work from 100-meter distance and say that that is a Manxhosa piece.